Hey everybody, this is So Many Sequels, your book club for movies. I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
And this is weird. This is,
yes, it is.
The David and Josh show doesn't happen, or that happens quite often, but the David and Garrett show, that doesn't happen very often.
No.
It's a rare gem.
No, I don't think we've done a duo podcast together since our ill-fated Six Seasons of a Movie podcast, in which we discussed the
Superman.
idea. Josh and Andrew were there. They just had nothing to add to our Superman fight. But we did a podcast, just the two of us, called Six Seasons in a Movie, and where we talked about. It's a great. I don't even think there's video. There might just be audio of that. But it was just you and me, I think, in you and Josh's old apartment.
Yeah.
Basically just sitting there having this, I don't know, very long-winded discussion about TV to film adaptations, which was a lot of fun. A conversation worth revisiting.
Yeah, that'd be worthy. Josh, as you can tell, is out this week, so David and I are running the ship, and we're going to catch up on some stuff. David, what have you been watching?
Well, I actually had some fun this weekend because it's the 30th anniversary of The Lion King's release in 1994.
It makes me feel old.
I know. Apparently, I didn't even realize this. It might have been the first movie I saw in theaters. My grandmother said that she and my grandfather took me to see it when it came out. So I would have been about 4 when that came out, and so that might have been my first movie. I kind of remember my first theater experience being Toy Story, but I can definitely believe The Lion King was mine. So we decided, since that was coming out, maybe that would be a good opportunity for us to introduce my son Jack to the movie theater experience, because he's 3 and we're like, he's not quite ready, but we thought, okay, it's a familiar movie, maybe that'll work, and if it doesn't work and we have to leave, we won't be missing much, because we've already seen I've probably seen The Lion King. Honestly, I've probably seen The Lion King the most of any movie in my life. That I would not be surprised. I probably watched it 100 times as a kid. I've seen it probably dozens of times since, and then now my son has watched it probably 50 times. So
I was gonna say that's probably the movie he's seen the most in his life yet.
It's probably a time between that and he was really into Moana for a while.
Okay.
And so anyway, we go to the movie and we sit down and we're ready to go. And I tell you what, modern movie theater protocol almost ruined it for him, because he got all sat down. We told him you need to be quiet and you need to try to be still, no climbing, okay? Now luckily it wasn't a very full theater, and so we were like, you can move around in our little space, but you can't go over here and you can't go over there. And he was like, okay. He sits down, he's eating little gummies, healthy gummies, and the lights dim. And he goes, is it time for the movie? And we said, yes, because we've been hyping this idea up. Well, first, before the movie, it's a trailer. And then before the movie, another trailer. And after everyone, he looked at me and goes, is it the movie now? No, another short movie first. And so the movie start time was listed as 3:45. Actual movie start time, 3:52. So after about 17 minutes of trailers, he was like, is this going to happen or not? And then when it did start happening, it was The Lion King, and I think he went, well, I've seen this. He was like, I'm not missing anything. So we made it through the death of Mufasa, and then he said, I'm ready to go home. Very loudly in the theater, he said, I'm ready to go home. And my wife posted this on Facebook, and people were like, well, I would too. That's traumatic. Why would you subject him to the death of Mufasa? It's a traumatic experience, right? And I said, you will find no one with less trauma than Jack. Jack, my son, which I've just now realized my wife doesn't like for us to say his name online, but oh well.
We can blur that.
Jackadoo. My son, he roots for Scar. Like he's pro bad guy in these movies usually. So like the death of Mufasa wasn't the problem. It was the fact that he was like, we can't fast forward through this, and I really want to get to Hakuna Matata. So he was ready to go, and after some rambunctiousness, we were like, you know what? And we managed to get through Hakuna Matata, but we were like, okay, let's just go. We'll be okay. You know, it was a good try, and he was really good for the first 30 minutes of the movie. But yeah. So
I
it was
think
an
he's
interesting
ready
try.
for something new. Then it sounds like he would have been a little more interested had it not been something familiar.
I think so. I wonder if it had been something different, if he would have hung on for a little bit longer. But it's hard to say because we were kind of worried that if we went to something that was new and he got upset or started causing a lot of trouble, that we'd have to leave. And it's like, oh man, well now we've got to miss this movie too.
I think you did it right. That sounds like a very successful first movie experience. I think
it did. My favorite part though was as the lights went out, he went, "Oh, it's too dark." And I was like,
I underestimate how scary it can be to kids in that dark theater because I'm just so used to it going to see as many movies as we see. But it does get pretty dark in there.
It's pretty dark, and he was like, "What if I want to get up?" And he's like, "Well, you don't." But I think we introduced the idea. We'll come back around to it, because I think usually like 4 or 5 is usually the age that kids sort of get the idea a little bit. Excuse me, a little bit more. But there were some other kids there. There was a couple of other families there, so they were kind of having similar things. We weren't too. That was the other thing with the Lion King. We knew we probably weren't ruining the experience for anybody else because they also probably had seen it many times. So if he did cause a big fit, it wasn't going to be like they ruined this brand new movie for me. It was people know it. So anyway, you actually got to see a brand new movie though, the new Nick Cage movie, right?
Yes, the new Nick Cage movie that has people talking is Long Legs. It's billed as a horror movie with Nick Cage, obviously, Blair Underwood. I'm going to say her name wrong, and I apologize in advance, but I'm going to go with Micah Monroe, and I'm probably wrong. And those are really the main people. And, I went in blind for the most part. I didn't know what this movie was other than it was a horror movie. And that people have been saying it's one of the scariest movies. They've equated it to Silence of the Lambs, that level of kind of movie. So that was essentially kind of all I knew going into it. And I gotta say, it was weird and it was unsettling. Nick Cage was weird and unsettling. And then Micah Monroe was very good. Everybody gave a really good performance. I didn't necessarily think it was a horror movie, more than like a detective-y, thriller-y chase situation. They're trying to find somebody. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give it away. I think it is more fun if you go in blind.
Right.
But it was really weird. I'm not trying to take away from it, but I think the hype build is like a super incredible tense suspense. I think if you go in expecting that, based on the marketing that has been around for it, I don't think it delivers. At least it didn't for me. For others, it might. It felt like one of those slow burn kind of a horrors that can have some different effects on people. So that was my experience with it. What do you know about this movie, David?
Well, not a lot. I know that it looked the posters and some of the imagery that I saw about it was very off-putting. So, that's usually my sign to steer clear. Mm-hmm. But I was interested to see because what I always wonder about Nick Cage is kind of an interesting example because sometimes with movies like that have like kind of more interesting premises, I always wonder if someone who's that big of a star is going to sort of take you out of it. So do you think someone like Nick Cage like, and was his addition kind of like, did it take you out of it at all?
Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a good job of kind of keeping him hidden. Like you would know it's him, but you didn't really see him until the reveal. He gets a reveal, essentially, and so it didn't really take away from it. He is a very humorous and interesting performer no matter what he is doing, and so there are some moments where I felt like it didn't necessarily give me the horror, and I was kind of like, okay,
all right, this is just odd.
And maybe that is part of why I didn't have that same kind of experience as some of the marketing is delivered. So maybe, I guess there is a chance that the Nick Cage effect could have had a hold on me during this and taken me out of some moments. But again, I will say the performance itself is very memorable. Like I cannot unsee it, and it was good. I enjoyed it.
Well, that's great. It's in theaters now, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about it. We'll talk about how it did at the box office here in just a minute. What was were there any good trailers? We're gonna talk about some movie trailers that came out this week. Anything interesting that popped up beforehand?
I can't remember anything specifically because I usually try to take some mental notes because I do think it would be fun to have some kind of like trailer review whenever we do some of these movies. So that's an idea to keep in the memory for the next so many sequels offsite meeting.
The next company retreat.
Yeah, but what I remembered the theme being, and I know this was a horror movie, but there are a lot of horror movies coming out and very interesting ones. Like some of the premises were really interesting. Again, I cannot remember any specifics, but Neon had some movies coming out. There's a Blumhouse movies coming out, and I'm really interested in them. There's one with Billy Mackenzie Davis and oh goodness, young Professor X.
Oh, James McAvoy.
James McAvoy looks crazy, and like So like a lot of horror.
Did you get the one with with Hugh Grant? Did you get that one?
I don't think I did.
Have you seen this trailer? Hugh Grant's got a horror movie coming out. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe like Heretic or something like that. And it looks pretty.
I remember
creepy.
seeing it. I remember seeing people talk about it, but no, I have not seen the trailer for it.
Yeah, we'll have maybe that's one that we could do a review of. Because it's one of those ones that when I was talking about the Nick Cage thing kind of popped in my head, I was like, okay, this is very different for Hugh Grant, but it's also like Hugh Grant is so recognizable. Is that going to, for some people, I wonder if it's going to be hard to see him in a sort of villainous role. So anyway, let's talk about one of the new trailers from this week. Do you want to start? I'll give you the option. Do you want to start with Captain America or Gladiator 2? Did you watch either of these?
I watched them both. Let's start with Gladiator 2 because it's fresh on my mind.
Mm-hmm. So the first Gladiator obviously came out, I think in, what was it, 2000?
I feel like it was a 1999 movie.
Let me see here. Quick, 2000. I think it came out right at the turn, at May 5th of 2000. So it's right in that 99 bubble afterwards. But almost now 20. It'll be 24 years later. The new one comes out. What did you think of this trailer? Did it get you? Did it feel like it was like it lived up to the original?
I try not to compare because I feel like this is something different, and I want it to be something different, right? Like it's different characters; they're kind of connected, but not necessarily. So I'm treating it as something different because if you try to compare, you're just going to set yourself up for failure. Probably that's likely what's going to happen. So I'm going to keep a very open mind to it because I really enjoy the first one, and I think I forget how much I enjoy Gladiator as a movie. This trailer has got me interested. I'm excited for Denzel. I'm excited for Pedro Pascal. And I don't remember the other person's name. Who's
Paul Mescal? Isn't that his name?
Yes, Paul Mescal. Yeah, and so I think that they can deliver a really good movie. This trailer made me think like of that TikTok meme of how often do you think of the Roman Empire? And for me, the answer is not very. And so I don't get excited about, oh my goodness, a Roman Empire movie, but I think it could be good. He's trying to find something again. And he hasn't had some successes like you thought he might in some of the movies that he's had. So I'm hopeful that this one can deliver something for me. What about you?
For sure, the interest level is definitely that Ridley did return for this. This isn't something being made. Usually when a director doesn't come back, that's usually when I think of things being more of like a cash grab. But this is, it's the same creative behind it. So like, then to an extent, I can't go all that in. Now it could be that like Ridley's like, I need money. I need something to do well. Let me do this so that I can do something that I want to do later. Who knows? But yeah, Paul Mescal, he's an actor who's kind of been surging up and people I don't think have caught on yet. He's, a lot of people have noticed like the rise of Glenn Powell, which we'll talk about next week at some point. But Paul Mescal, he was just 2 years ago nominated for like Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor. He's rising up, and Pedro, that's gonna be fun. Denzel being, honestly, I feel like just kind of being Denzel. Like there's some great stuff in there. There's a little bit of like Denzel in his Macbeth Shakespeare kind of phase, but
Yeah.
He's just kind of like, I'm gonna do this for you, and you got to do it for me. Like I can't do Denzel, but that's like it's very. Denzel just has charisma and swagger no matter what he does.
Yeah.
So it's I'm very interested. I mean, it looks visually like they're going for big scale, like they did with the first one. They've added. There's going to be these. At least we get a glimpse of like sea fights in the Coliseum, which is like that's somewhat factual. I mean, I think it's pretty factual, and that's going to be cool. So I'm very interested to see. I'm interested to see the story because the first one became iconic in a time period where I think it was easier to do that.
Yeah.
There was a lot less attention for from other things, competition, I should say, from other things. Nowadays, it's kind of harder, and there's this. I feel like we've talked about this before. Moviegoers are a little bit more cynical these days than they were in the year 2000.
Yeah.
So it's got a big hill to climb because, like you said, trying to compare it to the previous one is going to make it difficult for a lot of people. But I'm interested in giving it a chance.
Same. Let's talk about this Captain America trailer, though. I would like to hear your thoughts on it first, as I would consider of the two of us, you are the Marvel expert.
So, Captain America: Brave New World, coming off of sort of a year almost without Marvel. We'll get to see Deadpool and Wolverine. That's Marvel Studios' only real offering this year. And there's a real potential for this to kind of be like a fresh start for a lot of people, I think. Because a lot of people have sort of been not thrilled with the post-Endgame stuff so far. There's been some high points, but there's been some low points. And so I think this is going to be an easy reintroduction. There doesn't appear to be anything resembling the multiverse, which I know a lot of people are already fatigued of. It feels, at least the trailer, feels very reminiscent of what they were doing with Captain America Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War. And the Falcon and the Winter Soldier Disney Plus series. So I think that that's what they're presenting. We'll see if they can actually capitalize on that, because that was kind of how they presented Secret Invasion as well, and that show was not great. At least it fell off. I think the first 3 episodes are better than the last 3 episodes, or however many it was. But I'm very interested to see how they do this legacy character thing. Because they've done it in the comics where a character retires, passes along their mantle, and somebody takes over. There's been dozens of Green Lanterns and dozens of Flashes, and there's been a couple different variations of who is Captain America at any given moment. So in terms of TV, in terms of film, it's going to be very interesting to see how that translates. For the most part, I thought the tone, the effects looked cool. I thought, I like Anthony Mackie, even in... 'Twas the Night or The Night Before or whatever the name of that movie is.
The Night Before, thank you very much.
The Night Before. I think Anthony Mackie's great. I think he really should get more work. And so I'm optimistic. I'm on the side of optimism with this one. That said, the only thing I didn't really like was there's a final little teaser shot that you get of Red Hulk into the end of the trailer. Looked a little too glossy. It's not coming out till February next year, so hopefully maybe they even that out. I usually don't complain about special effects too much, but that's the one thing we got to get right is the Red Hulk has to look good.
Yeah.
What do you think, Garrett? You've been kind of slowly pulling out of the MCU. What do you think?
It's definitely got me interested. Again, I would agree that the things that they have released after Endgame have not been great, but some of the things that they were, like Captain America and Winter Soldier, was a really great show that I very much enjoyed. I'm excited. It feels fresh. It is a legacy character, but you're handing it off to a completely different version of this character, and so I am excited to see them create a new version, right? They need something fresh, and less is more. And so we have been essentially without a Marvel movie this year. We've got Deadpool, Wolverine coming up, and there's some excitement for that, but also marketing fatigue, depending on who you talk to. Mm-hmm. And so they've really got to show that they have bounced back and that they can bounce back. Because if it doesn't succeed with this character, then again, they really got to reevaluate. I still think that their less is more strategy is better. Going back at it after Endgame, they should have taken a while off and just made people wait.
Well, and they almost got to do that thanks to the pandemic. We didn't. I think I'm pretty sure. I don't think we technically got a movie in 2020 because of the pandemic. I think that it wasn't until 2021 when Black Widow and Shang-Chi came out that we got more MCU. But yeah, I think that for a lot of people, the emotional climax of Endgame is really big and was kind of hard to. And I think from a narrative standpoint, they were like, okay, we have that's a lot to unpack. So you get things like WandaVision, and you get things like Captain America and the Falcon, and you get Captain America and Winter Soldier, and you get what else came out right in that aftermath. But anyway, you get these shows that still are dealing with Hawkeye, the effects of Endgame, and I think that for some people, like, that's cool, but they were ready for some new things to jump in on. That's what I loved about, like, Shang-Chi. That's what I liked about, even as difficult as it was after the passing of Chadwick Boseman. That's why I liked Wakanda Forever a lot, was because it did feel like, okay, this is something they're trying to move forward with what they can do. So I'm interested to see. There's already people who are like, not my Captain America. I'm not that guy. We
don't talk to them. We don't talk to them.
If we have problems with the movie, they will not be because I don't think they will not be because we're like, he's just not Steve Rogers.
Get out of here.
So boring.
We don't talk about that.
Big yawn.
Get out of
big
here.
Yawn.
If that's your problem, we don't want to talk to you.
I like the suit, though. I'll say this: they have not.
Oh yeah.
So far, they've not had a bad looking Falcon Captain America style suit. So yeah. I like that.
That's gonna be cool.
Up next, we got another sequel coming.
We do.
Another, as I like to call it, geriatric sequel. That's Shrek 5.
Does this fit in the geriatric window?
It will, because the last Shrek movie came out in 2010. This Shrek movie is scheduled for 2026, I believe. So It's going to be, for me, my arbitrary timeline is 15 years. Basically, if the first one comes out and you're old enough to be like a teenager who can't drive, and the second time it comes out, you're like old enough to have like had a 15-year-old or like a child, and so on. I think that 15 years, that's a good generation right there.
Sure.
So, I put it there. But what do you think? Are you excited for a fifth Shrek movie?
I never saw Shrek 4. I don't remember Shrek 3.
Yeah, that's the one
with
Justin Timberlake.
The one with Justin Timberlake. Okay,
it is.
I did see that one, but I don't remember it. But again, sometimes you take a break and you get it refreshed. I mean, Shrek is got a life of its own. So, in meme culture, I think that the world will be excited for a new Shrek, and I think that it will do good. And listen, if they deliver, then they have the ability because the first Shrek is amazing.
Yeah.
So I think that they can do it. I need to see more though.
Yeah. Well, right now all we have is a 5 with Shrek ears. We'll have to see what they actually want to do. So there's. I also did not see Shrek 4, and I didn't see Shrek 3. So I have no idea what even's changed between Shrek 2 and 5. I know Shrek had kids at some point. Shrek and Fiona had kids. So maybe those kids
Timber.
Ooh, there you go. We did Shrek last year for Animation August, so we can review the other ones coming 2026. Shrek Timber. We can maybe those kids. Maybe the story is the kids are now teenagers, or something like that. In addition to this, Eddie Murphy said that there was going to be a Donkey spinoff, which feels 20 years too late, but so we'll get Shrek 5, and eventually we'll get Donkey. I don't know what Donkey and the. Oh gosh, there's got to be a subtitle for that. I can't think of anything.
I got nothing. No, I
Donkey,
got nothing.
Eeyore. I don't know.
No. Well, let's move on to some sad news. We've had a lot of deaths going on in the entertainment industry. Two of the ones that we'll talk about, Shelley Duvall and Shannon Doherty, both recently passed away. Shelley Duvall, we reviewed The Shining, and listen, her performance in Shining, if you go back and watch it, I think for so long it was panned in some way. But man, she acts the hell out of that movie, and she deserves so much more praise and respect, and like she was treated like garbage for that movie. So like, you know, the fact that she had this revitalization and respect come around to her is so well earned and deserved, and sad loss for the entertainment and movie world.
Yeah, Shelley Duvall was had a very interesting career, you know, at different points. Whether it was The Shining, you know, she was Olive Oyl in the Robin Williams Popeye movie.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of people bring that one up, and I think, like you said, we went back just, I think it was last year, and watched The Shining, and it was, she sort of is in the audience's perspective for a lot of that movie, because all this crazy stuff's happening around her, and it's freaking her out, and I'm right there with her. So she had, you know, the kind of the ability to help draw you in for large parts of that film. So yeah, definitely going to be missed. And in addition to that, Shannon Doherty, which I got to be honest, I haven't really watched a lot of her stuff, but my mom was a big fan of Charmed, and she was on that. So I did see a lot of her. I did see a lot of Charmed by extension. Very sad.
Nice.
I think she had been dealing with cancer for the last several years, and so that's very sad to hear as well.
Tragic. Yeah. That is unfortunate, and there is no easy transition out of a loss. But David, let's talk about this week's box office. I feel like it was okay. It was
okay. You know, number one movie this weekend is again Despicable Me 4, bringing in $44.6 million, down just 40% from last week. It's doing very well. At number 2, you have Longlegs, which we just talked about, brought in 22.6. A little interesting detail here. That movie's only in about 2,500 theaters, which is about half of what Despicable Me is. So if you do the numbers, Longlegs actually did about as well as Despicable Me 4, despite, you know, being in, you know, so like in terms of in terms of per theater amount. So if they had put that in more theaters, who knows? It might have broke 30. It might have, you know, who could have done even better.
Word of mouth might get it to grow.
We'll see. And a lot of people have been saying good things. A lot of people have been saying good things about it. And number
3.5 stars from your old friend here, Garrett.
3.5? Oh, okay. That's high praise. That's high praise. That was good. At number 3, we have Inside Out 2. I actually was doing a whole Nick Cage thing for my wife the other day. Inside Out 2 is number 3 with 20.7. That movie's still rocking along. Brings its total up to 572 in the United States. I think. No, that's worldwide, sorry. At number 4, you have A Quiet Place Day 1 with 11.8, also doing pretty well. I haven't gotten around to see that. I really need to. And number 5, you have Fly Me to the Moon. This is starring Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum. I think faking the moon landing in case the actual moon landing falls through. That brought in $10 million as well. So that's your box office top 5. A little fun fact for you. This weekend last year, the number 1 movie was Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, bringing in $54.6 million. I think you and Josh and Arch reviewed that movie. I think it's one of the highest viewed movies on our YouTube account.
That's because you weren't there.
It's because I know. It's the only one I'm not in. But anyway, that brings me back around to say, if you are not currently subscribed to our YouTube account, please consider it. We're currently at 302. We're trying to get to that magic number of 316. Yeah. Technically what? But we're trying to get to that magic number, so help us be the next 14 subscribers. We don't really have anything special. We're not good at special prizes, but hey, maybe we'll do a second 6 seasons in a movie podcast for you.
We'll cheers a beer to you if you're our 316th subscriber. That's what we'll do.
That's all we can do for licensing reasons. Otherwise, you can also join us on our Patreon, where you can get access to our Discord. We actually just welcomed a new Discord member, Matt, this last week, and it's been fun having him. So if you want to be like Matt, join us at Patreon and help us out. All that money just goes to improving the show, helping us get better equipment, better programming and software and stuff. So we're not like we're not taking that and putting it in our own pockets. If it makes you feel any better, also leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever.
Yeah, Spotify's got comments now. Did you see that?
Yeah. I don't know if we have access to it yet. I don't know if it's in. I have to check with Josh. Josh technically
as soon
runs
as we
that
do,
account.
leave us a comment.
Yes,
5-star comment, please.
Leave us a comment. Please don't be spam. Let us know what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show. and we will do what we can
We appreciate constructive criticism here, not just criticism. Be constructive with your feedback, please.
Yes. Please be constructive. Help us make the show better for you. And as always, I think Josh runs this down. Search So Many Sequel Ponds on all your social media, and you can find us there, whether that's TikTok, Threads, Facebook, YouTube. I already said TikTok. Oh, well. Instagram. Yeah, and so follow us there. Well, that's it for this week. We're actually going to have a couple of Twisters-related episodes. We're going to have Twister and Twisters coming up soon, so be sure to watch for that in your YouTube and podcast feed.
Yeah, I want to tell people now, because I'm going to tease it, David, that we're going to be joined with a certified meteorologist for our Twisters review. News on 6's own meteorologist of the morning, one of them, Stephen Aarons, friend of the show. He's been on here before.
He has.
He's going to be here to talk about the fandom of Twister and Twisters, as well as the science and how realistic these movies are. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
For sure. So be sure to check that out, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.